So when my son was about 15 or 16 years old, he wasn't feeling well. He was in yeshiva and he wasn't feeling well. And he asked me to come pick him up. And I had been on a decluttering job. So I was dressed with, I don't know, very baggy pants and my baseball cap turned backwards and, um, combat boots or whatever you call that. And I showed up. I hadn't expected to come to yeshiva to pick up my son. I was literally decluttering. That's what I was doing for a living. And he called. He wasn't feeling well, so I came to pick him up. And I got there, and there were kids playing basketball outside, and I really couldn't go into the yeshiva to ask to send my son out because I was in pants and I wasn't really appropriately dressed. And so I looked at one of the boys. I said, "Hey, can you call my son out?" And my son looks like me, just taller and blonder, but totally like face, everything else is like me. And so my son comes out, and this kid couldn't control himself, and he went, "Oh my God, she's so gay!" And my son turned around and he said, "She is," and he continued and walked into my car. And in that moment, he taught me something really powerful. He taught me that when you can say "she is," and people can't hurt you with that. So when some of the things that I write, I really don't want to send out. I actually want to send to the person who does my beautiful newsletters and say, "Don't send it out tomorrow," because I start freaking out because I know that it's really vulnerable and it's very real. But then I ask myself, is it true? Have I done enough work internally around it that if somebody throws it back in my face and says, "That's not your truth," then I still live with the fact that people might not believe me, but I know it's my truth. And so as long as I can stay in that, I am. This is true for me. Doesn't have to be true for you, but it's my journey. Then I can put it out there. I do want to say that chapter 6, the one that is unresolved parts, was the hardest chapter for me to write. Actually, it wasn't hard to write. It was hard to write. I cried through most of it. I cried through editing it. Um, I kept thinking that I shouldn't put it in the book. But every person that I shared it with had a real reaction to it in terms of like, here's my truth, the stuff that isn't resolved with me. And it gave permission for people to talk about their unresolved parts. And in order for us to be whole and to live in a society that is whole, we must hold our own unresolved parts with compassion, with love, with sincerity, with gentleness. And we must also understand that everyone we're walking around with, our family, our friends, our community, people we don't even want to talk to, every person has unresolved parts. And the more that we can create a container big enough to hold that, the more whole we will become. And so I talk.